Hello and welcome back to Alyena's Kitchen, where today we're going to be making Nanaimo bars. Nanaimo bars are a dessert from Nanaimo, Canada. And my mom is from Canada, so this is her favorite dessert and it's so delicious and it's becoming my favorite dessert as well. So let's get started. Now there are 3 layers in Nanaimo bars, so today we're starting on our bottom layer. So what you'll need is your saucepan, and you'll turn the heat for your heater on medium to low heat, and then you can put in your butter. And today we have half a cup of butter, and we're just going to let this completely melt before we add in the rest of our ingredients. So while your butter is melting, you can mix together all of your dry ingredients. So today I have 2 cups of graham crackers, which I've put in my food processor so they're nice and ground up. And to that I'm going to be adding in my coconut flakes. And you can use sweetened or unsweetened, that one's up to you, but today I'm using sweetened, and I have a cup of this. As well as my nuts, I have a half a cup of chopped walnuts, and I'm just going to mix this all together. Using a whisk for that is actually not the best option, so I'm just going to use my hands to get in there. Alright, perfect, it's fully combined. And now once my butter is nice and hot and bubbling, we can take it off the heat and add in the rest of the ingredients. So now that my butter is completely melted and hot, I can add in my sugar, and I have a 4th cup of sugar going in. And you're just going to want to whisk this until it's totally combined, along with a 3rd cup of cocoa powder. And then over here I also have 1 egg, which I've beaten up, and we're going to just slowly add this in because we don't want our egg to scramble. Normally at this point you'd want to bring your saucepan back over to the heat and cook it for about a minute or 2 until it's nice and thick. But for me, last time I did that, it made my egg scramble because it's just so hot, it retains so much heat. So I could just do it in my pot because it's still so hot. And it's now this beautiful thick texture, and we can now also add in our vanilla extract, and today I have a half a teaspoon of vanilla. I'm just going to stir in, and then we can mix it into all of our dry ingredients. Now I'm just stirring this all together until everything's completely combined, and then off to the side I also have a 9-inch square pan which I've lined with foil. You don't need to butter this, just make sure you line it with some tin foil. I'm just going to work on my arm muscles and stir this together. If you're wondering where this recipe comes from, it comes from Nanaimo, which is on Vancouver Island, and it's such a beautiful island, and it's on the west coast of Canada. So now that everything's fully combined, I can put it in my pan. And now you can either press this down with your hands like I'm doing, or you can take a cup and press it down. It's just up to you. Now that it's totally pressed down in one even layer, I can go put this in my fridge for about an hour until it's completely set. Now we can move on to our 2nd layer. So for this layer, you're either going to need a handheld mixer, or today I have my beater out with me, and I can add in a 4th cup of room temperature butter, and we're just going to beat this together until it's nice and smooth. Now I'm also going to be adding in half a teaspoon of vanilla extract, along with 2 tablespoons of vanilla pudding mix. Now today I have 2 cups of powdered sugar, which I sifted to get any of the clumps out, and I can slowly start adding this in. And we can alternate going back and forth between adding in our powdered sugar and our milk. And today we're going to be using about 2 to 3 tablespoons of milk or cream. Today I used 4 tablespoons of milk to make my buttercream nice and smooth, but you should be using from 2 to 4. For some reason I needed a little extra today. Maybe it's because it's cold outside, who knows. But now my buttercream is nice and smooth, and I have my first layer of my Nanaimo bars out of the fridge, and they're nice and chilled, so I can add it on top. Look at that. Now you're just going to want to spread it all over your first layer, and a pretty even layer as well. And get every last drop because this stuff is really good. And then once you've done this, you can put this back in your fridge for about 30 minutes, until it's totally chilled, and then we're on to our final layer, so hooray! Now for our third and final layer of our Nanaimo bars. So today I'm using a double boiler system, so I have a pot filled up with some water, and then I have a bowl that I put on top, but it's not touching the water. What you're using is just the steam to melt the chocolate. So we can add in our chocolate, and today I have 4 ounces of semi-sweet chocolate. I think I have a little leave in there too from working outside, as well as 1 tablespoon of butter. And you can also use a microwave if you want, but I felt like being fancy today. So now we're just going to stir this together until everything is completely melted. So once your chocolate is completely melted, like so, ooh, it just looks so good, we can pour it all over our Nanaimo bars and smooth it out, and then we can pop it back in the fridge for another 10 minutes until everything is set up and firm. So now the moment of truth, pouring it. It's going to be really hot, so I recommend wearing some gloves. Here we go. So now I'm just going to smooth out my chocolate layer until it covers the entire surface of my Nanaimo bar. I'm so excited to try them. They look so good. Now I'm going to go pop this in the fridge for another 10 final minutes, and then I get to eat it. So the best part's coming. Now we can take our Nanaimo bars out of the pan and cut them. Okay. Here we go. That was pretty easy to do. And today I'm going to trim my Nanaimo bars because I find the edges of them are a little messy. So you can have those nice clean cuts. And now you're going to want to clean your knife between every cut so you don't mess up the edges. And I'm just cutting a little bit off the sides to make it look a little bit tidier. This also makes a really nice snack on the side. Now I'm just going to transfer my Nanaimo bar over to a breadboard so it's a little bit easier to cut them. And now I'm going to make some squares and try to do it all evenly shaped. Now here I have my plate of Nanaimo bars, and if you want to keep these you can just leave them in the fridge and they do last a few days. But now the best part, getting to taste one. Oh, and look at all those clean lines. I love it. Wow. It's so good. It's an experience. It takes you for a little ride. There are so many different flavors in it. It's so flavorful with that crunchy bottom, that buttercream, and that chocolate on top. Everything works so great together. Shout out to the Canadians. And I do want to say a really special thank you to Joy of Baking, who I got this recipe from. It's absolutely delicious, and she also does a lot of great other baked goods. I also want to say, if you guys love baking and desserts as much as I do, there should be a playlist right here or right over here of all of my desserts, so go check it out. I just want to say thank you again so much for watching, and I hope to see you next week. Bye. I'm gonna go off and eat all these now.